in a garden, you're going to have weeds. And there are some people that are so positive, they're just like, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, there's no weeds. But every garden is going to have weeds. And those are the challenges. Those are the mountains, So you pull the weeds and you go on. It's not that, there isn't any problems. And so I think staying positive, staying optimistic is just that, being able to see the silver lining, see the focus, and just being able to keep moving forwards.
You're listening to A New Way of Living with Dan Voss, inspiring you to a new life of breathwork, cold therapy, and plant medicine. In this week's episode, my guest is Maja Gray. Maja is a mindset coach empowering 1 million people to see their greatness so that it ignites their untapped potential. She believes that there have been two threads intertwining throughout her life: human connection and personal development. Maja grew up living all over the globe and living with different cultures. She learned early on that while cultures may be different, we all want the same thing: connection, to add value, and feel loved. She served an 18-year career in the U.S. Coast Guard, learning the power of teamwork, which is human connection. Maja believes that no one accomplishes big things in life by themselves. It takes a team. It takes people believing in you. So enjoy this conversation with Maja. But first, a quick word from our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by MD Logic Health. When you're looking for a quality supplement, I recommend you start with MD Logic. I've personally tried and I'm currently utilizing several of their products. I take the fermented Wholesome Men's Vitamin and Mineral Complex. I love this multivitamin because it's fermented with a rich and robust, powerful complex and a balanced blend of minerals, vitamins, and herbs. While I would love to get all of my nutrients from my diet, we all know the many challenges we face in this fast-paced society, using mineral-depleted soil and the many toxins used on our vegetables and our fruits. This multi-mineral vitamin herbal blend provides all the B vitamins, micro minerals, and core vitamins to ensure my baseline nutrients are met daily. To get your own Dan Voss stack, which consists of the multivitamin, magnesium citrate, and vitamin D, head over to mdlogichealth.com and use code DANVOSS30 at checkout for 30% off your first order, and code DANVOSS for 15% off every order after that. And utilizing the discount code DANVOSS doesn't just apply to the stack that I mentioned, but all MD Logic products. Head on over to mdlogichealth.com. And now, enjoy the episode. Maja, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today.
Dan, I'm so glad to be here. I love this. We had this first time we talked the other day, we had such an amazing conversation, so I'm excited to continue today.
Likewise. Isn't it so funny how that works? We connected over Instagram. We realized how much we had in common, that we had shared connections, shared values, and we had a conversation offline, or I guess online, but separate from the podcast. And it was so fulfilling, right? I left that conversation feeling inspired, and likewise. I know you said the same thing.
Likewise.
And it's just so funny how life works that way, where we were complete strangers just weeks ago. We connected on, like I said, through Instagram, had an amazing conversation. Now we're here on the podcast. So I'm excited to dive deeper and learn more about you and all of your work.
Thanks. That's the power of human connection.
That's right.
And I think that that's one of the best things that actually has come out of COVID, is that people are really realizing the importance of, not just going through your day, but really making sure that you have those fulfilling conversations, whether it's with someone over a cup of coffee in person, or on a Zoom call, and just connecting with people, because we all want the same things.
That's what makes humans human, right? Is that we have the desire to connect with other people, to tap into our truest potential, but really at the end of the day, it's about community and connection. And you're right, we've really learned that through COVID. Or I don't know if it was necessarily learning, but it was definitely a reminder during these last few
realization.
Years.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. So on that note, I'd love to start our conversation around your purpose and your mission. You talk about empowering 1 million people to
I
see
do.
and be their greatness
I
and
do.
ignite into their untapped potential. Can you tell us a little bit more about
I
that?
do.
What that
That
means
is
to
my
you?
why. To empower 1 million people to see the greatness so that it ignites their untapped potential. I truly believe that every single person on the face of this earth, period, has greatness within them. That I think that we are all born with it. I know that we are all born with it. I've easily gotten my 10,000 hours over the years, thanks to my crazy life stories. And I've had so many different conversations with people all over the world. And everybody really wants, to make a difference, to know that they made a difference. They want the human connection and they want to feel love. And so part of that, I think, is realizing that every single person does have greatness within them.
Mhm.
But most people have never had a cheerleader. And so the three things that I really have been the thread that connected everything in my life is, one is that truly believing that everybody has greatness within them. And that because everybody has greatness within them, it means that they do have the ability as a human to fulfill what they feel is their purpose or their goal or intention. I use all three of those words kind of interchangeably because people, while it's all working towards the same thing, people will use very different terms, to get to the same outcome. So I use those three words very interchangeably. And then the thing that ties all that together is that everybody needs a cheerleader. And so my tagline now has become, and I tell every single person this, that I am cheering for them
Mm.
because nobody is meant to do any of this alone. Whether it's trying to accomplish a goal and needing some outside input with tools and resources or connecting people. Years ago, after Simon Sinek first came out with his Start With Why book, he used to have this like monthly group that would do phone calls online, and every month he would pick one person to help figure out their why and kind of shape it. And
Mhm.
so I got to be one of those people, one of those first calls. And so
Nice.
that's really, it's really what got me to be able to connect the dots of everything that's happened in my life, all the conversations that I've had with people, and just kept propelling me moving forward of just, I want to stand on the highest mountaintop and just tell every single person that they have greatness within them,
Mm.
period.
Yeah. I would love to hear your definition of greatness. What would you say greatness means to you?
I think that greatness means you're doing something that fulfills your soul in a way that inspires other people and in a way that allows you to use your unique gifts.
Mm.
Because nobody on the face of this earth has the history, that got me to this moment, sitting right here in this conversation with you. There's no other of the 7 billion people on the planet. There's nobody that has all the different experiences, that has had all the lefts and turns and, roadblocks and mountains to go over. And so I think that we realize that all of us have had challenges that have gotten us to where we are right now. It doesn't mean that we keep moving forward, that we can't keep, following our dreams and following our purpose and figuring out what that thing is that I'm here on the face of the earth to, do.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. And it's so important to have a mission statement, if you will, or written purpose so that you can look at it on a daily basis and
Oh, for
remind
sure.
yourself of
I so
why you're
believe in
doing
that.
this. Yeah.
I so believe. I mean, it's as important. People always talk about. There's a famous Harvard study, and I know I'll probably get the numbers wrong, but a graduating class years ago that was asked to write down their goals versus
Hmm.
the group that didn't write their goals, and the percentage of the group that had written down their goals accomplishing them was
Yeah.
far outweighed the group that didn't write their goals down at all. And so it's I'm a big journaler, and so one of the things I know from all the science and research that I've done about it is there's this reticular action of when you actually write something and get it out of your head.
Mm-hmm.
And so having your hand go through that movement and writing down something anchors it in even more into your psyche, into your soul. And so having that written down, I'm also a big believer of writing down your goals every single day. And I usually will write them down every morning on like an index card and then carry them in my pocket. Because then when it's in my hands in my pocket, then it's reminding me. And it's just a way of, constantly anchoring myself as to, is this action that I'm about to take in alignment with, and moving me forward with my goals and helping others and being of service today, or is it, not?
Yeah.
And I mean, sure, you're going to have days that don't. Nobody has 100 perfect days, or 1,000 perfect days or a perfect lifetime. But, in this moment, can I be of service? Can I, take care of my self-care and help me be better so that then I can be better and serve?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that idea of writing down your goals and having it in a written piece of paper, whether that's a sticky note or an index card, and reviewing that throughout the day or throughout the week, and reinforces what's important to you. I'm actually working on my own personal, what's called MTP, massively transformative purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't mind, I can share it with you. It's a
I'd
rough
love
draft.
to hear it. I would love to hear it.
Yeah, I'm still tweaking it, but
I love
it's
it.
at least
Love to hear
allowing
it.
me to think like, what is really important to me? What is my purpose? What is my why? So what I've come up with so far, and again, it's not a finalized version, but it's to inspire humanity to reconnect with our strength and happiness. And the reason why I focus on strength and happiness is because when I think of being happy and the purpose of being happy, to me, that's almost everything in life. If you're not happy, then what do we have, right? If we don't have that happiness, then what are we doing here? What's the point?
Right.
And the other word there is strength, and you can take that in many ways. It can be physical strength, it can be mental strength. And I don't say it in like a rah way, like you got to be strong, you got to, work your way through things and be strong. It's not about that. It's more about looking at who you are as a person. And so it's almost the word that comes to mind is integrity,
I
is
love
knowing
that.
who you are and being strong enough to follow that purpose and who you want to become. So that's what I've come up with so far, is to inspire humanity to reconnect with our strength and our happiness. It's a work in progress, but
I love that.
it's a good start, I would say. At least I feel good about it.
Hey, don't beat yourself down. It's a great start. Everybody has to start at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Every single person, no matter what skill they were learning, think of us as babies. We had to learn how to speak. We had to learn how to walk.
Mm-hmm.
When a baby starts walking, you don't like scold them after they don't walk the first time,
Mm.
So don't beat yourself up. This is the first time you've ever sat down and tried to, and wanted to even come up with it. That's huge.
Right.
You should be celebrating that. You shouldn't be apologizing to me that it's a first draft.
You're right. You're right.
I don't let my friends speak badly of themselves ever.
No,
period.
Thank you. It's such a good reminder. And it's what I think what we'll get into here in a bit is around mindset. It's something I'm working on, is that mindset and the thoughts I tell myself, and maybe limiting beliefs. Thoughts are everything, right? And there's that idea of fixed mindset and growth mindset. We've all faced that before. I know I have, and in many ways I still do face that fixed mindset. So I would love to hear your thoughts on that topic of fixed versus growth mindset, and how can we go from being in a fixed mindset and move into a growth mindset?
Well, the first thing I'll tell is everybody should read this book by Carol Dweck, Mindset, because she was the one that came up with the idea of a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. And so a fixed mindset is an individual, a human, that thinks that everything in their life is external, that they have no control over what they're, the choices that they're making, that the horrible things that are happening to them versus the good things that are happening to them. And so they truly feel that they cannot change whatsoever, that there's no way that they can accomplish their goals. They're just going to be miserable. They don't necessarily have to be miserable, but they have no control. They get up, they go to their job, whether they love it or hate it, and go home, and that's just the way it is. That they can't think externally of the situation. And so someone with a growth mindset, regardless of what's going on around them, can really focus on something other that they want to accomplish. So say you're working in a job that it's not great, it's paying the bills, but you have a dream of doing something else, of writing a book, or, being an actor or an actress, whatever it is. It's not happening right now in your life, but you are able to perceive it happening. And so you are willing to do the steps, learn the new skills, and, carve out an extra hour of time in your morning or evening, so that you can actually keep moving that, along that line of accomplishing whatever it is. And so the other part of that growth mindset is that things could be, one of my other favorite books is Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. And it's a book that it's probably one of my top 3 books, other than mindset and my favorite book of all time, which is, I'll tell you later, actually. In Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, it's this, if I'll just give a quick synopsis for people that aren't aware. There was a group that was in the concentration camp with him. He was actually a psychiatrist. And he noticed that some people in these worst conditions possible that a human has probably ever known, other than being in like the POW camps, and that there were still people that were able to figure out how to thrive. So even with not having any, no blankets and freezing cold and having no food, they were still able to keep a positive outlook in their minds and stay focused on what it was that they could control. And so regardless of what's going on around you externally, with a growth mindset, you can focus on what you do have control over, and you can stay positive. It's not, when I use the word positive, it's not that things are always perfect. Tony Robbins for years has always had this saying that when he uses the analogy of a garden. So in a garden, you're going to have weeds. And there are some people that are so positive, they're just like, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, there's no weeds. But every garden is going to have weeds. And those are the challenges. Those are the mountains, So you pull the weeds and you go on. It's not that, there isn't any problems. And so I think staying positive, staying optimistic is just that, being able to see the silver lining, see the focus, and just being able to keep moving forward. So
there's 2 things I want to touch on there with what you just had talked about. In Man's Search for Meaning, there's a really good quote, and I don't remember the entire quote, so if you know what I'm talking about, please step in.
I'm
something along
quotes.
I'll try to paraphrase the best of my ability. It's something along the lines of there's an event, and then our response, and in between that there's space, right? We have the choice to do what we want with that space. I'm not articulating it to the best of the quote's ability, but
no, but I mean that's so true, because something happens. If something happens, when something happens, it's not if, things do happen externally,
right.
That thing just is it until I give it a meaning,
right?
And my meaning is going to be completely different than even someone standing right next to me watching the exact same event.
Yep.
Because the meaning that I'm giving this thing is based on every moment, every experience of my life up until that moment. And so you're right. It's that space, it's that gap between having the thing happen and the meaning that I choose to give it. Because that's a choice. Einstein said, you can see anything as a miracle, or speaking of quotes, I'm horrible at remembering quotes, that everything is either a miracle or it's not. And so if I'm choosing to see the miracle in something and choosing to see what's good about something, it also means that I'm going to be getting more of good, because I truly believe that thoughts become things. And so what you're focusing on is what you're going to get more of. And I've had this conversations with so many people, and that they're like, oh no, that's just Pollyanna, that's just thinking positive. I'm like, okay, give me an example. If you think that bad things always happen and you're always thinking that and you're getting more bad things, you are just totally proving my point, because you're getting more of exactly what you're focusing on. So why not take Einstein's advice and, focus on the good, see the miracle in things?
Yeah, a lot of what you're talking about may remind people of the law of attraction, and some people say that's BS and they don't believe in it, but
But it's quantum physics.
Right. Right.
It's been proved.
Right. That's the thing, is a lot of people look at what we're talking about and say it's not real, but it has been proved. There's science there that shows it's real. And I have actually the quote up here from our friends over at Google. I did a quick search. The Viktor Frankl quote is, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom."
I love
That's exactly what we're talking about.
It is exactly
having that freedom of choice to how we respond to the things that happen to us.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other thing I was going to mention, one of my favorite movies is Life is Beautiful. It was,
I love that movie.
I think it won a Best Picture award in the 90s. I think that's when it came out. So you're well aware of the plot, but for those that are listening, it's about a family that was a Jewish family that was taken into concentration camps, or a concentration camp, and it was a little boy and his father, and the mother and father were separated, and so now the father has his little son who's like 7 years old or somewhere around there in a concentration camp. What do you do? Right? What do you do? Do you tell the boy what's going on, and now he's crushed and he realizes that this is likely the end of their life? Or do you spin it in a positive light? And that's exactly what he did. He shared with the boy, it's a game. He made it almost like a fun thing where we have to play this game each and every day.
Right.
And if you get to the end, and then you get certain points, and then the people that have the most points, they win, and whoever wins gets to ride in a tank at the end of all of this. So now the boy's thinking, cool, this is fun. It's a game. I have to just make sure I stay in the room here and nobody can find me. I have to hide. If you do that, and then that's just one example, but by having that mindset shift, now you are setting yourself up to succeed and actually get out of that situation, rather than just say, oh God, this is the end, I'm going to give up.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful story. So yeah, that's one of my favorites, is Life is Beautiful.
Yeah, it's such a good. Yeah, because you're going to get more of whatever you focus on. So why not choose the good?
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. And on that note, I am really tapping more into the idea of gratitude and focusing on gratitude.
Oh, gratitude
And
is huge.
the power that it has. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on what gratitude can do for us in terms of our mindset and how we live our lives.
I'm a big believer that if you can't be grateful for what you have now, how are you going to be grateful for anything else that comes into your life? I've had some crazy situations in my life where I have lost everything, like literally, and all of a sudden have a storage unit broken into. I was living in Oakland at the time and was in the process of moving from one apartment to another, but there was like a 2-week lag, and so I had to move everything into a storage unit. And I was up in Tahoe, and next thing you know, I get this call from Public Storage saying that they've emptied my unit and 3 other units. And so Yes, I was frustrated. Yes, there were family heirlooms. There were a lot. I mean, I had a two-bedroom house that I had all these things in, but it was also the most freeing thing because it sent my life on a trajectory of really, truly realizing that each of us, no matter where we are in life, and no matter where we are in our age, no matter where we are in our socioeconomics or anything, we all have so much to be grateful for.
Mm,
The fact that we wake up every morning and that we're not 6 feet under, and that every single day is a brand new day, and that
mm,
you can, whatever happened yesterday. I'm a big believer that you can't fail as long as you have learned something,
mm,
and the things that you thought were mountains yesterday, 6 months down the road from now will be an anthill, or there'll be a little sand pile, or you won't even remember them. And so I'm a huge believer in being grateful for this moment, this, when we talk about breath, because I know you're big into breath work, as am I, just the fact that our bodies can breathe without us even having to think about it,
mm,
and the healing power of breath and how the breath interacts with our heart and pumping of blood.
mm.
I mean, our bodies are just a miracle,
Yeah,
period.
so
And
true.
I mean, that's just that. And if you can't be grateful for that, yes, we all have challenging times, and trust me, I've had them. But even in the most challenging times in my life, I have been able to draw on that fact that, okay, let me find something in this moment that I'm grateful for. If it's as simple as my breath, connecting with my heart, that I can see,
Yep.
listening to the music around me or the sounds of birds or feeling the sun on my face, something in
Mm,
that moment. And it's just connecting those moments when you're in a really hard time that I think can bring so much joy to our lives and happiness. And
yeah.
my two words for 2022 are awe and wonder. And
Mm,
usually I pick like one word for the year, but these two are kind of like best friends to each other because it's that
mm,
childlike curiosity that we
mhm.
have, that wonder of how kids are just curious about everything and want to learn and just play, and they haven't let society tell them that they can or can't do something. And so it's that childlike wonder and that awe, of a kid like waking up on Christmas morning, or waking up on their birthday, or seeing that first snow. It's just that pure joy,
Yeah,
embodied in those two words. And to me, that just brings so much gratitude. And I think
absolutely.
if you can find gratitude in any moment, then you are already just moving forward and just creating a better life for yourself.
Well, that's such a good point. When you're focusing on what you're grateful for, rather than the negative or the past, things that have happened to you in the past, or worrying about the future, when you are actually present and you focus on what you already have and what you're grateful for, then there's something there that you just can't help but attract more of that into your life. If that's like what we were saying before, right? How
Yeah,
the power of
it
our
fits right
thoughts.
in with the power of the thoughts.
Yeah. The more you spend time thinking about whatever that is, whatever it is that you're grateful for or what you want in your life more
Yeah,
of, the universe has a way of putting that more of that into your life.
yeah, yeah.
And it's the same thing like you said before. If you focus on the negative, or me, I'm a
You're going to get
victim,
more of whatever you
you get more
focus
of
on.
that.
Choose the
Exactly.
good.
Yeah, 100%.
Choose
And
the
by the
joy. Choose
way,
the gratitude.
yes, you mentioned on wonder and that childlike curiosity. We had our talk a couple weeks back, a week ago, and it was the same day that I recorded a recent podcast episode with Philip von Holzendorf Failing. It took me a little while to learn that pronunciation, and he is the founder of Lila Quantum, and they have quantum technology
Yeah, yeah.
for energy healing and quantum energy. And I shared with you how I was about to go into that interview, and it was a new topic for me. I was a little nervous, and I started off telling him, sharing a little bit of that. This is something new for me, and a lot of my audience, it might be a little new to them. But I'm going into this conversation with awe and wonder and childlike curiosity. And I remembered those words from our conversation with
Oh,
you.
I love that. I love that.
And it helped. It so helped knowing that I went in with that mentality, with that mindset, and it ended up being an awesome conversation. I learned so much. I was curious. I asked good questions. He had awesome responses, and it ended up being a beautiful conversation. So I hadn't shared that with you actually yet.
Oh,
So I just
thank
want to say
you.
thank you. Yeah, thank you.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Curiosity is is just, you can't be curious and not have a growth mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who has a fixed mindset isn't curious about changing anything.
Right.
And I always tell people that I will gladly walk into any room and be the dumbest person in the room because
Mm-hmm.
I want to learn.
Mm.
There is so much that every single person has to teach us, because they've all had different experiences and they've all had different perspectives and different outlooks. And in the Tony Robbins world, we have a saying called CANI, which means CANI, and it's constant, never-ending improvement. And so every day I want to learn something. And
Mm.
so it's having that curiosity and, the exploration and that awe and that wonder. And so that's why I just figured that wonder and awe were the perfect words for me for
Totally.
2022, especially after what we've gone through the last 2 years, you
Right.
know,
Right. Right.
you know.
Yeah. It's so important. It's that learner's mindset, being a lifelong learner. And it almost doesn't matter what topic we're talking about, right? Like right now, my big deep dive is into breath work. There is so much to learn about the breath, about the physiology, about the human body, the emotional factor of it. It's almost like it's never ending in terms of what I can learn. And then you take any other topic. You can take mindset, you can take coaching, you can take emotional health, you can take whatever it is, sports, relationships, cooking, and anything, right?
Anything,
Music, art, and
anything.
there's always more to learn. You think you know it, you don't. There's more there to learn.
One of the role models in my life that taught me the true meaning of that was my late father. He passed away 3 years ago, and he passed away at 85. And even he had been a law professor teaching contracts and arbitration internationally. And even at 85, he was teaching himself a new language. He was still studying law and contracts
Mm,
from several different countries and just always had that childlike curiosity of sitting down with anybody, whether it was a stranger he had just met,
yep.
and wanting to learn about them and wanting to learn about what it was that they were passionate about, and just truly being able to be present and just be curious is an
Yes.
amazing gift that we all have as humans, but most people don't tap into it.
There is a new, for me, very new. It's been around for a while. His name is Bert Goldman. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the idea of
Mm-mm.
quantum jumping.
No, but
So,
I love
so this
it.
man's name,
Tell me
yeah,
more.
this man's name is Bert Goldman, and I'm pretty sure he's the one that I guess came up with it, or at least packaged it. And so, quantum jumping it's a type of meditation where you envision a doppelganger, right? As somebody that is
Right,
your twin, but in a different universe, a parallel
right,
universe. And so you go through this guided meditation, and you're basically just envisioning uh, this doppelganger. It's you, but it's a different version of you in a different universe. And it's whatever you want that to be, right? It could be somebody that is very wealthy. It could be somebody that's a fantastic painter or a musician or a cook or business man or woman, like whatever it is that whatever goal or ideal self that you want to become, you sit there in this meditation and you actually face this doppelganger, and you have a conversation with them, and you see them, how they look, how they dress, how they act, their confidence, their stature, the way they talk, and you can even have conversations with them. Ask your doppelganger, how'd you get here? What advice do you have? So anyhow, you go through these meditations, and it's fascinating. I just discovered it within the last couple of weeks, and
Well,
I'm
that sounds
starting to
awesome.
do some of the meditations. Yeah, and it's again one of those things where you might look at it and be like BS, but I
Nope,
don't know.
I don't think it's just
I'm
BS.
yeah, I'm starting to see. So what it does is you're seeing that ideal future self, and I can already feel myself falling and slipping into an alignment of that ideal self that I want to be.
Because you are holding that energetic space
Hmm.
for where it is you want to be. And so whether you're doing this quantum jumping or you're doing some kind of meditation, or even just spending some time doing visualizations. I mean,
Hmm.
visualizations have been proved,
Right.
professional athletes have been using visualizations
Yeah.
for years. And it's not just woo-woo. There is
Right.
scientific evidence that shows. It's a great Harvard study about basketball, and they took, I think, 3 different groups, and the group that did the practice and the visualizations far outweighed the group that didn't do it. It's an amazing study. I'll see if I can find it
Mm.
for you and send you the link
Yeah.
to put in the show
Super
notes.
cool.
But it's just this idea that you have to get into the space energetically. You can't just say, I want to make, $1 million, or I want this car, or I want this house. Getting those things is fine if that's what you want, but it's not that thing that you really want. What you
Mm.
want is the emotion and the feeling and who you need to become in order to do all of that.
Totally.
I have on my desktop laptop is there's 3 words: be, do, have. Who do I need to be, and what do I need to do in order
Mm.
to create what it is that I want to create? And in essence,
Bingo.
curate the life that I want to create. And so, by doing this quantum jumping or whatever, however you see it, you are holding energetically. And there's even scientific proof that if you hold this energetic frequency, or I think there's an actual number that they have proved, I think it's like 1 minute and 20 seconds, that your body will hold that resonance even stronger, and doing that morning and evening.
Yes.
It's holding that mindset, it's holding that vibration. And
That's exactly
it goes
it.
back to everything that we're talking about. That's what you're focusing on. You're focusing
Yep.
on that vibration of that higher energy of where you want to go in your life.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. It's like what Tony Robbins often says, and plenty of others say it in a different way, but it's where our attention goes, our energy
Yeah.
flows. And the reason why I brought all this up with Bert Goldman and quantum jumping is because he was able to learn piano after the age of 80. He has become an artist, and he never held a paintbrush before. He now is painting, and like really awesome paintings, photography. I mean, he learned all these different things post 80. And the reason why I brought that up is because you mentioned your dad, learning after, when you say 85, what did he learn?
He was 85 and he was already speaking like 12 languages and teaching himself his 13th.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Not
goes
that
to
I
show you
didn't
can
get
do
that
whatever you
gene
want.
though. I did not get the language gene. But it's it's just being able to focus on on the growth, and what
Hmm.
you want to do. And
Mm.
going back to the greatness thing, I truly believe that part of each of us having greatness is so many people think that they don't have any creativity in them, but everybody has some form of creativity within them.
Mm. Yes.
It's creativity is like a muscle. It's just like anything else. It's just like your resiliency muscle. The more challenges you have, the more resilient you build that muscle. And you know after you've gone through a lot of different things, then you just start building the resiliency. And
Totally.
if you start painting, you're going to activate those neurons in your brain that make you more creative. I'm a big
Yeah.
believer in the book The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron,
Mm.
and have been doing morning pages for years. And the reason why she calls it The Artist's Way is because she truly believes that everybody has creativity within them, but they just don't. We're never taught how to access that creativity, just like we're never taught personal development, or we're never taught finances growing up. We were all raised in that industrial age of, reading, writing, and arithmetic, to go work in a factory or go work in a rote job. And so by tapping into that creativity and finding that creativity a lot of times is that wonder and awe for that person.
Right.
Do you love music? Do you want to listen to more music? And part of the artist way, or there's three parts of it, is this daily journaling habit. And then it's taking yourself on an artist date. So going to a museum or listening to music or something that stimulates you creatively, and you find, and then doing these weekly walks. And so everybody has creativity that they can access. And so, but I love this story of him learning to paint. And
yeah, it was fascinating. When I heard about this guy, I was like, I gotta learn what this is. He learned like really good piano. I watched a video of him playing piano the other day. I was like, holy cow, this is remarkable. Piano, the arts, the photography. There's a bunch of other things too that he was able to pick up. And I was like, wow, it's gotta be something here. And then I found a few of the meditations just on YouTube, and I'm really enjoying them so far. Yeah.
That's cool. It's all about curating that life and, focusing on the be do have, who do you want to be? What do you want to do? And what's it going to take to get there?
Yeah. So important.
Nurturing yourself.
And what I know you are a big proponent of is asking the right questions.
I'm a huge proponent of asking the right questions.
Yeah, I've been following you on Instagram, and I see how you do your different questions, daily questions on Instagram. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and why it's so important to ask not just questions, but the right questions?
I think that as humans, we all go through these periods in our life, even no matter where you are in life, we all get stuck at certain points. And we get stuck in a box, whether it's our daily habits that get us, stuck, or just the monotony of our day to day, or somebody being in quarantine, whatever it is, we all have periods of this where we just get stuck. And if we can allow ourselves to step outside of that box and ask a different perspective, and I had an amazing mentor for the longest time. And he had this Post-it note on his computer screen that he would always refer to, and it says, "What am I missing?" So it's that idea of just asking a different question to get your brain thinking just in a slightly different way. Because you don't need a big shift to make a huge difference in your life. Tony Robbins talks about a 2-millimeter shift in your life. A 2-millimeter shift over any period of time, is exponential. Yeah. And so if something isn't working, if you feel stuck, the first thing that you should always the first thing that I always do, and it gets me out of the rut every time, is, okay, what is it about this? What is it about this that's good? What is this? There's endless questions you can ask. But to just start asking better questions. If you want a better life, Tony always talks about, ask better questions, more quality questions. Because it gets you thinking differently. It shifts your mindset. It gets you out of that rut.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. I mean, I was just about to ask you, what's the importance of asking good questions and what does it do for us? And you answered it right there.
Asking simple things. What do I need? When I have my coaching clients, one of the things we'll do is when we're working on their goals, on what it is that they want to achieve out of our coaching sessions down the road, long term. And so there's this I don't know who came up with this exercise, but it's called like the 6 whys. And so I know a lot of different coaches that use it when someone will say, okay, this is what I want my goal to be. So let's just use the example. I want to buy a house. Okay. And you do this with someone else. And so then the person prompting you would say, okay, why do you want to buy that house? I want a roof over the head for my children, and then you just keep delving deeper. And so it comes to the last time I did that very same question with someone it came down to the father wanting to make sure that his children and his wife were taken care of. That they knew that no matter what happened, that they would have a roof over their heads, a home that was paid for. So the emotional, sense of protection, the sense of taking care of the family, the nurturing. So you just keep diving deeper, because it's never about the car. It's never just about the house. It's about what you think that thing will bring you,
Right.
And so by asking, and it doesn't have to be 6, but just delving deeper till you get to what the root of the thing is.
Yeah.
It
certainly reminds me of what we've been talking about all along here, is that childlike curiosity. And that's what's so neat about children, is when they ask a question, they often say, "But why?" After the parent gives
Exactly.
them an answer. They say, "But why?" And
Exactly.
then the parent says something, and they're like, "But why?" And then after a while, the
And
parents are
I
just
don't
like,
know why.
"Because." Yeah. But what that does is it really makes you think about the importance of what it is that we're doing and where we're
Yeah.
going and why it is important. So
Yeah. And I think it ties
super
back
important.
to, being present and being mindful in the moment of,
Mhm.
all
Yeah,
we have is
absolutely.
this moment, period.
So true.
Everything can change in a moment. And
Yeah,
that also
and
leads
which
into that wonder and awe. That
yeah.
idea of, Einstein saying, it can either be a miracle or it can't be, is that when you're leaning in towards that, miracles can happen, and not knowing what, will happen, and bringing that childlike awe and wonder of excitement think of a kid on Christmas morning. They don't truly know what is in that gift most of the time,
Mhm.
right? And so it's that moment of that anticipation. It's that joy. It's that excitement. It's that awe and wonder,
Mhm.
you know? And so stay in that, and,
Yeah.
see the awe and the wonder in every moment of your life. And you can't help but have an amazing life. Sure, you'll have setbacks, but that's what makes us
I
human.
It's so true. I've been taking a deep dive into Dr. Joe Dispenza's work in the last month or so, and he quite frequently talks about how a lot of people live in a way where they would rather live in the comfort, the known, even if it's not good, even if it's crappy.
That's
But
the
it's
fixed
what
mindset.
that's the fixed mindset. It's what they know. They'd rather live there for the rest of their lives than step out and go into the unknown and accept whatever it is that life is going to bring you, even if it's a little scary, but you have that potential of it being so much better and brighter. It's just wild to think that we fall into this mindset where it's like, yeah, this is comfortable, even though it's kind of crappy. It's a job I hate. It's a relationship that's dull and boring, but I'll just stay there because it's easy. Rather
Right.
than say, no, I'm going to step out into the unknown and accept some beautiful things into my life.
Humans in general do not like change. Somebody will do more to protect $100 that they have earned or been given than they will to go and earn another $100.
Mm,
It's that scarcity. It's that
yeah,
protecting. It's that I don't want to lose this thing. I don't want to change. And so it all goes back to the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. You know,
yeah,
And I think the more you can get out of your comfort zone, we always see that definition of the two circles, the human standing there in their little comfort zone, and
hmm
then everything outside of it, is where the growth is, and that's where the
yeah,
awe and the wonder and the magic. And how boring would life be if you knew every single thing that was going to happen?
mm, yeah.
You
That'd be
know,
pretty mundane. That'd get old pretty fast.
it would be.
Yeah, it's
We
when it
wouldn't have any goals. I
right.
mean, goals are wanting to challenge ourselves. And we all know that if you have a really exciting goal, something that you're really passionate about, then you're going to force yourself to grow.
Mm,
It's picking that small goal that's, you already know how you're going to accomplish,
hmm.
you know. that's easy, that doesn't bring you the awe and the wonder and the excitement and the
Yeah.
passion of waking up and working towards that thing in the morning.
Yeah. 100%. So for improvement and growth, what would you recommend one or two actions that we can take or tips that we can start implementing into our lifestyle to improve that quality of life?
I'm a big believer in that habits really do build our foundation. Those daily things done on a regular basis.
Mm,
And so for me, the three things every morning, but when I wake up, are my morning meditation, my morning journaling, and reading for half an hour.
nice.
And it doesn't matter what I'm reading. Uh, it's it's something to stimulate my brain. And
Hmm.
yes, there are days when, if I have an early flight or something where I don't get it all in. But
Hmm.
I've been doing morning pages now for almost 13 years, and the mornings there have been times where I've had to go a few mornings without doing it, and it's kind of like people talk about missing, like doing their workouts,
Yeah.
and it's your soul just craves to be able to get that pen and the and
Yeah.
paper and doing that writing. And I really believe that there's an old saying that how you do anything is how you do everything. And so building those little foundations of reading, which is stimulating your brain,
Hmm.
and yes, I love audiobooks, but there's a difference in sitting down with a book and actually reading and making notes in the book, and just that. I'm a huge believer in meditation. The
Yeah.
times in my life where I have stopped meditating on a regular basis, that just the act of adding meditation back in has just been
Absolutely.
priceless.
Yeah,
you
totally.
know,
No, I'm the same way. You use the example of, if you miss a workout, you can tell or whatever. I definitely like to be active, but I'm not somebody that necessarily goes to the gym every day. But I am with you on morning meditation is a must. Breath work has been a huge part of my life in the last year or so. I read every morning as well, and if I miss those, I can tell, especially the meditation.
yeah,
I can just tell later on in the day. I'm like, something seems off. Oh yeah, I forgot to
I
meditate
didn't
this morning.
meditate.
Yeah.
And then the other
So.
thing I would say is have those conversations with the people that in your inner circle that that believe in you and are your cheerleaders, because there is no goal. Anybody who has a huge goal, you don't do it by
Hmm.
yourself.
Hmm.
Every single person needs a cheerleader,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
Because even no matter what the goal is, you're going to have days where you're going to feel like it's a setback, and just being able to call someone or, get a text from someone that's saying, I still believe in you and I still, yes, today might have been a rough day, and so that human connection and being able to find those people that are like-minded and want to see you succeed and want to see you grow, and who you want to see succeed and grow. There's
Hmm.
there's exponential power in that sense of human connection,
Oh my
you
gosh. Yeah.
know, and having
A lot of that.
and whether it's having a coach, or just even find groups, go to meetup.com,
Yep.
find like-minded individuals, and they don't have to be in your same city. There are so many free resources nowadays of ways to connect with people.
Mm.
It's just amazing.
Yeah, it really is. It's the energy that's present when you are around like-minded people and people that will be your coach or be your cheerleader
Yeah,
and encourage you or support you or point you into the right direction on certain resources or tools that you might need. Having that having that energy, and it's like the saying of, you become the sum of the five people that you spend the most time with.
right,
And it's real. If you spend time with the wrong bunch, that's who you're going to become. If you spend time with five people that are uplifting and encouraging and they have shared values and goals, you're going
right,
to carry along with them. And
right.
powerful stuff for sure.
It is powerful stuff.
So around relationships, you have talked about the concept of 1 + 1 = 3.
Equals 3.
Can
My
you tell
favorite.
us what that means?
So I truly believe I am the only one who can make me happy. It goes back to what we were talking about with Viktor Frankl, and the whole growth mindset and fixed mindset. And it's the meaning that I give to everything in my life. I get to choose. Even when I'm having an argument with someone, they're not making me mad. It's the response that I'm telling myself about the situation. And so when you understand that, and you know that ultimately you are responsible for your own joy, you are ultimately responsible for your own growth, that yes, you can have the most empowering group around you, but still you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You need to take the actions. You need to do the daily habits. You need to do the work. And so when you think of a Venn diagram, I think of two individuals coming together that are cheering each other on. This is the 1 + 1. The two individuals coming together that are cheering each other on, the good days, the bad days. That person is cheering you on, even when it's not in their best benefit. You want to see them thrive no matter what. And in a relationship, that might be that, let's say they've been offered an amazing job opportunity and it means that they're going to have to go away for an extended period of time. But you know that on their journey, this is a step that they really need to take. And so being able to cheer someone on and support them and know that if this relationship is truly meant to be, that it does take each of you growing. And so cheering them on, as they have to go away for a certain amount of time. But when you think of a Venn diagram, you have those two interlacting circles. And so the 3 becomes that middle part, because together, what the two of you can accomplish is far greater than what you could accomplish as an individual. And so that's why I like to look at relationships from a 1 + 1 = 3, because there's so much potential power just to lift ourselves up when there's someone else in that Venn diagram with us, that knows our pains, that knows our wins, that knows how to be there for us and cheer us on no matter what. And so it's just, and yet knows that I have to do it by myself, that ultimately I'm responsible, and is not expecting me to make them happy,
Such a beautiful reflection, and something I've learned the hard way from past relationships, romantic relationships.
Oh, I've learned it the hard way.
Yeah, it's very easy to slip into this mentality that somebody else is going to make you happy, right?
Nope.
Oh, they
Doesn't
make
work.
me happy. It
Does
doesn't
not
work.
work.
Like you said, we're responsible for our own happiness and our achieving our own goals. But I love that idea of when you come together as two people, whether that's a romantic relationship, a friendship, a business partnership, you have the power to support each other and build each other up and carry each other along the path, whatever that may mean for that relationship. But at the end of the day, it's still yourself that has to take care of yourself and love yourself. Gosh, that was such a good lesson I learned in my most recent relationship, was that the love that you have for others should never be better or greater than the love you have for yourself. Meaning you have to love yourself first.
Well, I truly believe that if you don't love yourself first, you can't truly love someone else, because
exactly,
if you don't know how to love this person that you're with 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for your entire life, through the good, through the bad, how can you ever expect to love someone else?
Yeah. And I never realized that. I never knew that until I learned the hard way, but I still learned. That's part of life. Yeah. I'm a very experiential learner. People can tell me, don't do
Oh, trust
this.
me so much.
Don't date this girl. Don't do that. And I'm like, oh, it's okay. It'll be fine. And then months later, I'm like, oh yeah, you were right. I had to learn my own way.
Yeah, it's true. We have to learn.
But that's
But I
life.
mean, having that 1+1 = 3, whether it's in a business relationship or, a romantic relationship, it's when you go back, you can tie it back to even asking better questions. When you
Hmm.
have that person that knows you that well, they can see when you're in a rut. They can ask you those questions,
Hmm.
because so often we get in a rut and we can't see what even just a slight shift in something, asking, well, what if this happened? Or, what if I tried it this way? And
Hmm.
so that's that third part of the Venn diagram of coming together and just having that different perspective from somebody that knows you really well. And
Yeah.
a lot of times it's that yin and yang too of, whether it's in a business relationship or in a romantic relationship, of bringing those two things together, and just it makes everything that much stronger. Yeah, so I'm a
Yeah.
huge believer in 1+1 = 3.
Mm. It's powerful. Thank you for sharing all of that.
Gladly.
But before I get to my last question here, where can people find you? Where would you like to point people to learn more about you and your work?
The two best places to find me, the best place to find me is on Instagram. That's where I do most of my writing and sharing of my thoughts and asking questions and just sharing my journey. I've had a
Hmm.
crazy journey, and I truly believe that sharing our aha moments and our good moments and our bad moments is, all humans want the same thing. It goes full circle to what we started talking about with, human connection and love, and to feel that they're valued, and the idea of legacy, of something, leaving something behind. Every morning I ask myself two questions. I say, how can I be of service today? And how can I empower others? And how can I take care of myself? So one of my old mentors had this forward saying, grow me, serve you. And so it's all about this idea of, by nurturing myself and taking care of my own self-care, my reading, my writing, my meditation, because the old analogy, the oxygen mask has to go on yourself first before you can help anybody else. And
Yep.
so that's like the reach, and then that's the roots of when you think about a tree, and then the reach is, how can I be of service today? I think we went on our original call, we talked about the book by Wallace D. Wattles, The Science of
Yeah.
Getting Rich, and
Yeah.
he talks about the great idea of leaving people with the impression of increase. And
Mm.
so this idea that every single person that you come in contact with today, whether it's holding the door for a stranger or just smiling at someone and saying hello as you walk by, just leave people a little bit better than you found them. Don't be the person that walks into a room and sucks the energy out.
Mm.
Be that person that, maybe that person that you smile and say hello to on the street has had a horrible day,
Yeah.
and you're the only one. Wayne Dyer used to tell this beautiful story that he was on a subway once in New York. You know who Wayne Dyer is?
Hmm.
He used to tell this story in all of his talks about, there was this man and these like 5 kids on a subway in New York, and Wayne was riding on the subway, and the kids were just like running all over the place, and the dad was just kind of sunken down and just kind of not paying any attention to the kids. And I can't remember exactly how it goes, but Wayne ended up having a conversation with the dad. And at first, Wayne was like really irritated, like, why is this dad not controlling the kids? And then he found out that their mother had just passed away. And
Wow.
so you never know what it is that somebody else is going through. And so
Mm.
just having a little patience and saying hello, and having a conversation with those kids made all the difference, and just having a
Yeah.
conversation with that dad. And so you never know.
So true. Comes down
And it goes
to
back to gratitude, and it goes back to,
gratitude and
showing up and
compassion.
being the person. Yeah. This
Yeah.
all ties together,
Totally.
you know?
Totally. For me, it's about, living from the heart and having gratitude, living in a place where you're grateful. And the story you just shared there is all about compassion and
Yeah.
realizing that people are going through things, right? If they were crabby to you or mean to you or rude or whatever it is, whatever that hurt you, like maybe ask back to questions, right? Ask the right questions. What are
Yeah.
they going through right now? What are they
Right.
facing? Why did they respond this way? Because there's likely something there. Likely
We
a
don't have
reason.
any idea, everybody has their low points, their dark points,
Yeah.
And so why not enter into every single human interaction with a little bit of kindness and compassion? Kindness is never wrong. Kindness always matters.
Yeah.
And it's always the right way to approach anything.
What a beautiful world, more beautiful world that would be if we all lived with that mentality and actually lived out that virtue.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff.
I have a
Thanks,
t-shirt,
Maja.
one of my favorite t-shirts that says "You matter." So I just wear it, and every single person that I see that day, they get to see that they matter.
Powerful reinforcement.
Yeah.
Subliminal messaging, but good
know.
subliminal messaging. Yeah.
I know. But
Very
it's
cool.
so true. It goes back to that. I truly believe every single person has greatness in them. But
Yes.
most people have never had a cheerleader telling them that.
Totally.
So I always tell everybody now, I'm cheering for you, no matter what.
We need more
I
of
believe
that.
that you can do it. Yeah.
Yeah, we really need more of that.
So that the way they find me is through my Instagram at Maja_Gray or on my website, majagray.com.
Awesome.
That's it.
Awesome. And my last question, and I know we've woven it in and out of conversation throughout here, but the whole idea of who you want to impact the most and why.
I truly, truly, truly want every single person that I come in contact or through the ripple effect believe that they have greatness within them. Every single person. Because they all are, everybody is here for a reason, and everybody has gifts to share, and everybody has a message, and it's really that simple. So every conversation I have with every person, I always say, I literally have gotten my $10,000 in just talking to people. And one of the first things I'll always ask them, what is it you're passionate about? What's your goals? What's even one thing? All my time in airports, and I'm writing a book about it called The Longest Layover. Within 5 minutes of talking to any stranger in my time in airports, I will have asked them, what it is they're passionate about. And you can just see in their body language how it changes, and their physiology and their voice, their tonation. They get excited about those things but most people never, that's a cheerleader. Most people never have engaged with a person to ask them that. They go through their rote. And so one of the things that I always do is help them figure out that one next step that they could do. Just one little thing. That's maybe that 2 millimeter shift, that one person that they could talk to, or that one thing that we could Google that, that is just that moving that needle a little bit further and them seeing that they have greatness within them.
Yeah, I love it. Just to add into that is I'm getting more into the habit of having conversations with people, someone I don't know, meeting for the first time. And oftentimes the first question people ask each other right after learning each other's names is, what do you do for work? And I've just completely eliminated that from my conversation. And of course, some people are passionate about their work. You and I are very passionate about our work. But for me, it's like each person is so much more than what we do, right? Like, what do you do? So for me, I now ask, what are you excited about? What are you passionate about? And then, like you said,
totally.
you can see it in their face. You can see it in their body language.
Yeah.
What lights you up. And now we're having conversation around what projects they're working on, what they're excited about for the year, for the month, what they're passionate about, what goals they have, instead of just being like, what do you do? And then they're like, oh, I work at an insurance company and I
then the conversation usually stops.
Right. And then it's just like,
okay, I've shared what I do and that's it now.
Yeah. So for me, that's been a little more powerful is, what are you excited about? And what are you passionate about?
Yeah, totally.
Cool. Maja, this has been such a great conversation again. I appreciate
Thank you.
Your time and you coming on and sharing your message.
Thank you. This has been inspiring. You've inspired me.
Good. Love to hear that.
Awesome.
Well, you have a great day.
All right, you too. Thanks.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.